Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jayo Jagannatha Baladeva Subhadrama Jayo Sudarshana Jai Gauranitai, 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 Jai Gauranitai. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev. Nittai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaur Hari Bol. Jayo Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Sata Shri Śrīmad Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BPT Sanstapakacharya Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayo Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Sata Shri Śrīmad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रज भूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is 1:13:12. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nanda gopa kumaraya govindaya namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So we will be reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse 12. Iti yukto dharma rajena sarvam tat samavarnayat yathanubhutam kramasho vinayadu kulakshayam. Iti yukto dharma rajena sarvam tat samavarnayat yathanubhutam kramasho vinayadu kulakshayam. Iti yukto dharma rajena sarvam tat samavarnayat yathanubhutam kramasho vinayadu kulakshayam. Bhutam kramasho Word meaning and translation by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Word meaning iti, thus, uktaha, being asked, dharma rajena, by King Yudhishthira, sarvam, all, tat, that, samavarnayat, properly described, yatha anubhutam, as he experienced, kramashaha, one after another, vina, without, yadukulakshayam, annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Translation. Thus being questioned by Maharaja Yudhishthira, Mahatma Vidhur gradually described everything he had personally experienced, except news of the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Should we take one more or? So this does not have a purport. We'll take one more. This I will just read and you can hear. Nanu apriyam durvisaham nirnam swayam upastitam navedayat sakaruno dukkhitan drishtum akshamaha. Compassionate Mahatma Vidura could not stand to see the Pandavas distressed at any time. Therefore, he did not disclose this unpalatable and unbearable incident because calamities come of their own accord. Purport: according to Niti Shastra, civic laws, one should not speak an unpalatable truth to cause distress to others. Distress comes upon us in its own way by the laws of nature. So one should not aggravate it by propaganda. For a compassionate soul like Vidura, especially in his dealings with the beloved Pandavas, it was almost impossible to disclose an unpalatable piece of news like the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Therefore, he purposely refrained from it. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, it is my great fortune and honor to be sitting at the lotus feet of Shri Radha Madhav, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, Shri Gaur Nitai, Srila Prabhupada, and all of you, and be able to speak something on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for my own purification. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is said to be the essence of all Vedic literatures, and Bhagavatam means that which is connected to the Lord, Bhagavan, which is connected to the Bhagavan is called Bhagavatam. So there are two Bhagavatam, as we know. One is book Bhagavatam and person Bhagavatam. So the book Bhagavatam reveals us the transcendental pastimes of Krishna and his devotees and the principles of bhakti by which these devotees lived. And the person Bhagavatam are the living Bhagavatams. They teach us by their example how to inculcate the principles which are taught in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave 5 most potent forms of devotional service. Can we recollect? First is Sadhu Sangha, and we gave it an acronym also, A, B, C, D, D. So first is Sadhu Sangha, association. Yes? Bhagavat Shravan, reading the books. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, like that. C is chanting. Naam Sankirtanam. So, and D? Deity worship. So, worshipping the deities. So, Archa Vigraha Seva, which is being carried out so nicely here. And another D is Dham Seva, going to holy places and experience the pastime places of the Lord. So these 5 are the most potent form of devotional service. Of all the 64 items, actually there are 64 items of devotional service, but of them 5 are most potent as per Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is one of them. Reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is one of them. So this is our life and soul. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Pramanam. Our entire philosophy, I think Sarup Damodar Goswami says this verse, that Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas, the entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness is encapsulated in this shloka. Jai Shri Radha Madhav ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Entire Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is encapsulated in this verse. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Tat Dhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargeyana Kalpita Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Matamidam Tatradara Na Paraha. Srila Sarup Damodar Goswami, the personal secretary of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, revealed what is our Siddhanta. So, whom do we worship? Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas. So we worship Krishna in Vrindavan. Tad Dhama Vrindavanam. We are very specific about who is our object of worship. Shri Krishna, who is not in Dwarka or Mathura, he is in Vrindavan. Brajesha Tanayas. Tad Dhama Vrindavanam. Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu Vargeyana Kalpita. And our highest ideal in worshipping Shri Krishna is who? Are who? The gopis. The method of worship of the gopis is the highest and the most sublime. And what is the proof of this? This Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is our proof. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Praman Amalam. So this Purana is spotless Purana, having no tinge of Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, nothing. Pure Bhakti. Right at the beginning of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Srila Vyasadeva has very clarified the subject matter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Dharma projita kaitavatra parmo nirmatsaranam satam. This work, once I was there in Shirdi doing book distribution. So I was on a table and one Mataji came by and she was asking, she was just curious about, she was asking why there are so many youths in ISKCON. Why there are so many youths in ISKCON? So I said to her, Madam, you see these books makes lot of sense. So any rational mind who get to read this book, he cannot deny the truth. So I opened this second verse of first canto, Dharma Projita Kaitava. So I said that so many people are coming to this place, Shirdi, and asking for so many boons. But here you will get to read the highest conception of religion, which is beyond material desire. So this philosophy is so pure and so powerful and so meaningful that any irrational mind cannot deny it. So if you want to know the secret, you must take the book. So yeah, this is the power of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It delineates the philosophy, the message of the Vedas in such a pristine way, clear-cut way, no ambiguity. And then Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Pramanam Prema Pumartho Mahan. So this prema is our highest goal. The Pancham Purushartha. Generally people understand that Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this highest goal of life, which is Prema Pumartho Mahan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatra Dharana Para. This is the verdict of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if we want to progress very nicely, we must be clear of the Siddhanta. This is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is our proof, and recently we were having a class on Bhakti Vaibhav, and His Grace Vamshivardhan Prabhu was telling this beautiful point in regard to the shloka Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mradayanti Yuge Yuge. So he was telling that this is the emperor shlok of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and he gave very detailed analysis of why it is the emperor shlok. Each and every word he explained, and then he said, Jiva Goswami says that this shloka can defeat all other shlokas. So there may be any okay, let me explain in exact way. So he explained that in a scripture, when the first time the subject matter is introduced to the readers in a very clear cut way, that is called as which verse? That verse is called as the essence of the verses. That is, they're having some technical term. Just a second. Okay, it will come to me. So then this verse is the summum bonum verse. So in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 3rd canto, this verse comes as the shining jewel, which explains that what is the position of Krishna. Ete Chamsa, all the above mentioned incarnations were just incarnations. But here is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Swayam word has been elaborated very nicely. So then he said that this is the Paribhasha Sutra. The word is Paribhasha Sutra. Paribhasha Sutra of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And taking this as reference, we have to read the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In the further verses, in the further chapters, there are some places where, it appears that Krishna is incarnation of Narayana. Like Krishna is telling to Yogamaya that I will come, I will Amsha Bhagena, I will expand and come to this world in my expansion form. So there he says, if there is a contradiction between two verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we have to take the emperor shloka to be presiding, and then make the following verse, obey or follow the Paribhasha Sutra. So then Acharyas give the understanding, Amsha Bhagena means he will come with all his incarnation summed up together. Krishna is Purna Purushottam Bhagavan, so he will come in his full-fledged form. So that way we have to understand Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Then he said, and if there is a contrast between Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam's verdict of Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead and other scriptures are also Vedic scriptures, and if there is a contradiction that, okay, Vishnu or Narayana is superior to Krishna, then he very clearly establishes the supremacy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam over all Vedic literatures. So how do we understand that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the most glorious literature, the essence of all Vedic literatures? The author will confirm, right? So we as readers may be confused about what is the supreme. But then the author, if he confirms this, then we are sure, yes, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is supreme. Yes, Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Shukha Mukhad Amrita Drava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatamrita Rasamalayam Muraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. So this Bhagavatam is Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. Right in the beginning, Srila Vyasadeva is clarifying the subject that this, what is about to come, is the essence of all Vedic literatures, and this first canto gives a very beautiful history of how Srila Vyasadeva compiled the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, actually, we know that Sukadeva Goswami spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Pariksit Maharaj. And later, Shaunakadi Rishi, they wanted to hear the same narration. So, they approached Suta Goswami, who was also present in that narration of Sukadeva Goswami. And then Shaunakadi Rishis, they question Suta Goswami, very specific questions. And in answer to those questions, he narrates the entire narration of Sukadeva Goswami, of how he gave Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, one of the questions, so they asked many questions. In the 4th chapter, we get to read little history of how Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was written and how we come up to the story of Pariksit Maharaj. Like Bhagavatam is supposed to be story of Krishna. And why so much elaborate description is there of Pariksit Maharaj? So let us try to understand some history of how this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam came about and how Pariksit Maharaj's narration was narrated. So, they asked very interesting questions. They wanted to hear that narration of Sukadeva Goswami narrating to Pariksit Maharaj. But then they were asking serious questions. Today, while we got up in the morning, Srila Prabhupada was telling this point, that we should not accept things without applying our reason. We have got brain, we have got reasoning power, then we should reason and understand. Because spiritual science is not subject matter of sentiment. We have to understand very nicely the subject matter. So the sages, they asked very nice questions to Suta Goswami regarding how it was possible. So one of the questions they asked that, why did Vyasadeva compile this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam at all? Then they asked, why did Sukadeva Goswami, who was self-realized, took the trouble of reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Like he was Brahman realized and fully transcendental. And then why he studied Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? What was the need? And then they asked that Sukadeva Goswami was moving around in the jungles like a madman. How did the residents of Hastinapur recognized, this is the great Sukadeva Goswami? And then Sukadeva Goswami, how did he stay there? He was not staying at a place more than the time period for milking a cow. Like he was just wandering about in the jungle, and any person, when he would feel hungry, he would stand by the house of a person and he would milk the cow and he would drink it and walk off. So he did not stand any longer than that. So how could he stay for 7 days, 7 nights and narrate this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Pariksit Maharaj? And then they asked, why did Pariksit Maharaj, who was so powerful, he was such a accomplished person. We generally society thinks anybody who takes to spiritual life, he is like good for nothing fellow. He might have failed in his career, or he may have had a heartbreak in love, or some things might have drastically gone wrong in his life. That's why he has taken to this path. But then Pariksit Maharaj, he was such an accomplished person. These verses will show us how he was such a great person. So 149 onwards, they asked this question about Pariksit Maharaj. Who is asking? Shaunakadi Rishi is asking to Suta Goswami that it is said that Maharaj Pariksit is a great first-class devotee of the Lord, and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him. So now Why was Pariksit Maharaj's narration said? Because the question was asked. And why did the Rishi, the Shaunakadi Rishi were interested in hearing about Pariksit Maharaj? Because he was a great first class devotee of the Lord, and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Yes? So that is the benefit of hearing about a Bhagavata, the person Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is what? Narration of all the person Bhagavatams. The Vyakti Bhagavatas who have lived the principles of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, they are recorded in the history, in the pages of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So Pariksit Maharaj was one such great soul, and hearing about him will have a very purifying effect. So in the next book, here it is said, he was a great emperor and possessed. How he was accomplished, we will see. He was a great emperor and possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of the Pandu dynasty. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death? So, yesterday I was reading Srila TKG's diary. So, during Prabhupada's final days, how Tamal Krishna Maharaj served him, all the instances he mentions there in that diary. So there, one of the days in 77, Prabhupada is telling to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, that this Alexander the Great, so-called great, how he was conquering the lands, he was moving ahead, conquering, and then he was losing that land as he went further. So he was going on conquering, but going on losing also. When he moved forward, the previous land was lost. So that don't make me into Alexander. So here Pariksit Maharaj is not such type of king. Pariksit Maharaj is the sovereign emperor, having full control over his kingdom. So the question is asked, why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death? He was such a great emperor that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. He was full of youth. He was full of youth and strength, and he possessed insuperable kingly opulences. Why did he want to give up everything, including his life? So, at the prime of his youth, at the prime of his power, he gave up everything and was fasting until death. So the question was asked, why did he do that? Now they are going a step further, a deeper question. Okay, someone may think, okay, I don't care for all these opulences, I give up everything and I will achieve liberation. So Pariksit Maharaj is not that type of a person. He is a devotee of the Lord. And what is the characteristic of a devotee of the Lord? Here it is said, those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development and happiness of others. So there is a very nice verse in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Dayaya sarva bhuteshu santushta yena kenava sarva indriyopashanta cha tushyati ashu janardana. So if we want to please Krishna very quickly, how many of you want to please Krishna very quickly? So this is a 3-point formula. So dayaya sarva bhuteshu, sabhi जीवों पे क्या करना है? दया करना है. We have to show mercy to all living entities. Santushta yena kenava, remain satisfied. And beautiful words are there. Yena kenava, somehow or other. Because the tendency of the mind is, the mind often tends to remain dissatisfied. Whatever you have, mind will still want more. Otherwise, why these big business tycoons, they are still working so hard. They have crores of rupees, billions of rupees and dollars. Still they are working so hard. For what? For this only. Their mind is not satisfied, dissatisfied. So that proves that no amount of accumulation will satisfy us. Arjuna also says, na, ke avapya bhumo asapatnam ruddham rajyam suranam api chadipatyam. Even if I win the kingdom of heavens, what to speak of earth, even if I win the kingdom of heavens, I will not be satisfied. So that's why the injunction is santushta yena kenava. Somehow or other, we have to be satisfied. That means mind will tell us to remain dissatisfied. कि क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं? What am I doing here? Am I just wasting my time? What is the benefit? People are earning crores there, and I am, am I wasting my time in temple? So no. So when we know the philosophy nicely, we will be able to calm down our mind. Okay, yes, this is the highest process. Santushta yena kenava. So somehow remain satisfied. And sarva indriya upashantacha. And when we control our senses on all sides, not one-sided. Someone may say, okay, I will eat regulatedly, but then eyes are wandering. Then it is not that. Sarva indriya ki baat karen. It is said that we have to control all the senses. Because what is Lord Krishna's injunction in Bhagavad Gita? Regarding that, even if the mind focuses on one of the roaming senses, it will be swept away like a boat. What is that verse? Indriyanam hi charatam yan mano anuvidhiyate tasya vayur navam ivam basi. Yes. So mind is very powerful. When we focus our attention to even one of the roaming senses, then it will be swept away. Our consciousness will be drawn away to that object. So sarva indriya upashantacha tushyati asu janardana. So why we want to control our senses? The question may be asked. The yogis are controlling senses for what? For gaining some powers. For, for their cause. They are controlling their senses for their cause. But that will not remain. That attempt will be a failure, either today or tomorrow. But when why we want to control our senses? We want to control our senses for the pleasure of Krishna. Tushyati asu janardana. So by my controlling the senses, Krishna will be happy. So Krishna, when we have a higher purpose, then we get a bigger drive. So somebody may be living for his own sake. That has lesser drive, ठीक है, what a big deal, even if I get some 20,000, that is okay. But when he has family, then what? He has a bigger responsibility. So he will have to work with more dedication and earn more. Yeah, maybe 1 lakh. So what gave him drive? The higher purpose. So he is not living for his own sake now. He is living for the sake of others. And likewise, the Shastras say, what is the highest cause for which one can live? Savai pumsam paro dharmo yatho bhakti radhokshaje. Ahaitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. So when can one get highest satisfaction? What is the highest purpose for which one can live? Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Ahaitukya pratihata. So we have to do bhakti to adhokshaj, to Krishna, in a pure way. Ahaitukya apratihata. Without any motive and without any gaps. That is the highest satisfaction. So when we have a higher purpose, then we get a higher power to control ourselves, to go beyond our limits also. So when we want to please Krishna, tushyati asu janardana, because we want to please Krishna, that's why we want to control our senses. So there is a famous instance of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. So when he was appointed in Juhu to see the land acquisition and then temple construction. It was very tough, very tough. The owner of the land had cheated many big shots. Many companies, international companies had come and did the deal with him, and he cheated them all because he was very influential, having contacts in the government and the municipality. He was sheriff of the Bombay. So then here Srila Prabhupada, he sees the land and he gets reminded of the promise which he had made to the Lord. If you give me this land, I will make a palace for you. So he got reminded of that promise and he approaches Mr. Nair for doing that deal. And then Mr. Nair sees here an opportunity. Wow, these people, I have cheated big shots. What are these people? They have no contacts in India. All they have, is bunch of few inexperienced foreigners who don't know anything about India, how things go in India. We can easily cheat them. And then in that scenario, Giriraj Maharaj is appointed to see and deal with him. And it was very tough. At the end of it, Srila Prabhupada says, it was a good fight. So then Giriraj Maharaj was tested severely. So the instance comes where Mr. Nair invites Giriraj Maharaj in his car, and in that car was a prostitute also. And he made Giriraj Maharaj sit just next to the prostitute. So Mr. Nair, Giriraj Maharaj and the prostitute. So they were just sitting so close, touching each other. And then Giriraj Maharaj writes in his book, I Will Build You a Temple, that she was trying to, touch Giriraj Maharaj, slowly approaching the private parts. But then Giriraj Maharaj, he got reminded, that if I do something wrong, what will be the result of it? My senses can be tempted, but if I do something wrong, what will be the result of it? Srila Prabhupada will get a bad name. Krishna will get a bad name. So, for their sake, I will not do this. And he just walked out of the car. So, here we see that we may be pressurized in a situation. Some situations may be beyond us also. But then what will give us power to go beyond that situation? This sense of higher purpose. That yes, I am not for my own. I am here representing Srila Prabhupada. I am here representing Krishna. So let me not put down their name. So then we will be able to satisfy the Lord very easily. Tushyati asu janardana. So showing mercy to the living entities is one of the three things which is mentioned, which will please Krishna very quickly. Why? Because all of us are who? Krishna says, what is our identity? Mamaya vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Manasasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Every one of us are amsha of Krishna. We have come from Krishna. Just like the child comes from the parent, we are expansion of Krishna. We are like manifestation. We are children of Krishna. Mama eva amsho, jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. So we are struggling here. We are supposed to be with Krishna. So a child is supposed to be with father, right? If he is with father, then he will be happy. But the moment he misses the father, then can he be happy? If he just, gets lost, then what will be his plight? So Lord Krishna is telling that I am the father of all living entities. Sarva yonishu konteya murteya sambhavantiya tasam brahma madhyonir aham bija pradapita. Very powerfully Lord is saying aham bija pradapita. I am the father and all the living entities are my children. And manasasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Because of the influence of the mind and the senses, they have forgotten me and are wandering in this universe, up and down, brahma bhuvana loka, trying for enjoying. trying for happiness. So, Lord, a father will always want his child to come back. Yes, he may have been lost, but if someone helps that child to come close to the father will become happy, right? He will be happy that this lost son has been brought to me again. And he will be so much happy upon that person who has done that. Same feelings Lord will have for one who will help other living entities to come close to him. So Daya Sarva Bhuteshu here regards to what type of Daya? Daya in terms of connecting him, reconnecting him back to Krishna. So that is the highest Daya. A child, he may be, suppose a child gets lost, Srila Prabhupada explains, you may give whatever to him. He's crying out of hunger. You may give some food and he may eat for a while, and then afterwards what? Will he forget his father? No, he'll still cry for his father. And then if suppose some kids are there playing around, and he may make friends with the kids and start playing along with them. For time being it may be some amusement, but then can it make him fill up the gap of the loss of his father? He'll still be unhappy. So we are in search of that eternal connection with our Father. And without that, nothing in this world can make us happy or satisfied. No amount of sense pleasure, no amount of relationships. So unless we connect back to Krishna, we can't be happy. So that is the highest mercy. Srila Prabhupada said very beautifully in one conversation. So he said that if I give you something, people think that Daya means to give some, food, clothing, shelter. That is Daya, but not the highest Daya. Srila Prabhupada is rising our concept of Daya. So Prabhupada said, if I give you something by which you don't want anything else, is that not a great help? Is that not a great mercy? I will give you something by which you will not want anything else. You will satisfy all your desires by that thing. So this is the highest concept of Daya, giving Krishna to someone. So the Vaishnavas, they are always having that ideal in life. They don't live for themselves. Like Pariksit Maharaj, those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development and happiness of others. So I was hearing one lecture of my Guru Maharaj. So he was mentioning that preaching means sacrifice. So preaching is not a prestigious thing. Okay, we sit on a big Vyasadeva and get some garland and get some viewership and be notified as a speaker. No, preaching means sacrifice. So when we have to really impress Krishna consciousness in the hearts of the living entities, we have to live by the principles, and that takes sacrifice. Sacrifice of personal comforts, everything will be sacrificed. And to the degree one does that, he will be pleasing the Lord. So, and it does not restrict this to only brahmacharis. Our movement has seen preachers from all classes, brahmacharis, grahasthas. In fact, Srila Prabhupada says that what the sannyasis of my Guru Maharaj could not do in London, 3 simple grahasthas could accomplish in such a big way, preaching the Beatles. So yes, anybody can assist in the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in preaching this message. What is required? Sacrifice. Sacrifice of what? Our personal enjoyment. So those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, live only for the welfare, development and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So even though the Emperor Pariksit was free from all attachment to worldly possessions, how could he give up his mortal body, which was shelter for others? Now the sages are asking question to a deeper level. Okay, Pariksit Maharaj, he gave up everything, not for the sake of liberation, because he is a Vaishnava. He knows that he lives for that principle, for helping others. So how he could give up his body? How he could give up his life, because this body was meant for others. So these are the deep questions which they asked, and Sukadeva Goswami gave beautiful narration of all this, and the 4th chapter, 5th chapter, 6th chapter give the history of how Vyasadeva got inspired to write Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Very, very beautiful. Narad Muni tells his own story to inspire Srila Vyasadeva. And there, by that time, 7 chapters started, and then the sages asked again, reiterated the question about Pariksit Maharaj. Please tell us now. We have heard now about the compilation of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Now please tell us of Pariksit Maharaj. Then he started building up the background, and in that course he had to speak, how after the war, this Dronacharya's son, this Ashwathama, he released Brahmastra, and then Krishna saved the embryo, and then followed by Kunti Maharani's prayer, followed by Bhishma's demise, Bhishmadev's demise, and then so finally it came to 12th chapter. Building up the background, it came 12th chapter. There again they asked about Pariksit Maharaj. So they asked, the womb was destroyed already. How did Lord revive that womb? Then Sukadeva Goswami explains the exact Leela. So he said that when that Ashwathama released Brahmastra, the embryo was feeling the heat of Brahmastra coming, and there he saw the Lord in his 400 form, with his club moving around like a shooting star, and the Lord was moving around and deflecting that Brahmastra with his club. So then the child got the sight of Lord Vishnu, and he was amazed. Wow, what is this beautiful form? The form of the Lord is all attractive. So Pariksit Maharaj, he was so impressed by the form of the Lord that even while he came out, he was searching, who is that person who came to rescue me in the womb? So because he was always observing, he was always examining each and every person, maybe this is that person or that is that person. So that's why his name was Parikshit. He was always examining. So that is the glory of Lord's form. Lord's form is so beautiful. I one or 1.5 months back, we were reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in Juhu. So this instance came where Lord Krishna is walking down the Mathura streets, and for killing Kamsa. So then what happens in Mathura, that is described in few verses. So in that connection, Sukadeva Goswami says this verse, Tad darshana smarak shobhat atmanam na vidam striyaha visrasra vasa kavara valaya lekhaya murtaya. So there, such a description. Krishna, what is the effect of seeing Krishna? What is his beauty? So it says, Tad darshana smarak shobhat. When Lord Krishna was walking down the street, Tad darshana, seeing him, everyone was affected by Kamadev, Cupid. Smara is Kamadev. Shobhat, Kamadev is known for releasing arrows. So that arrows make one, feel agitated, feel attracted. So then Lord Krishna, when he was walking down the street of Mathura, it is described that as soon as people were seeing Krishna and Balaram walking down the street, each and every limb of the Lord, from his toenail to the, to his peacock feather, every limb is, every part of his body, every ornament is perfection, is celebration for the eyes. In another shloka it is said, in the 9th canto, in the end of the 9th canto, this beautiful verse comes. Because when we move from 9th canto to 10th canto is described as the face of the Lord. So this ending verse of 9th canto describes the beautiful face of the Lord. There it says about this festival of the eyes. So the verse is, Yasyananam makara kundala charu karna bhrajat kapola subhagam savilasa hasam nityotsavam natitripi drishabhi pibantya naryo narascha mudita kupita nimescha. So beautiful face Krishna has. It is said that Yasyananam makara kundala charu karna. Ananam is face. So Krishna is having beautiful face, having makara kundala. Yasyananam makara kundala charu karna, very beautiful ears, decorated ears. Bhrajat kapol, his cheeks are also very decorated, having many nice paintings, and his forehead is also very nicely decorated, as we have here Radha Madhav. Bhrajat kapola subhagam sa vilasa hasam, and what to speak of his smile. Krishna has such a weapon that he can destroy the enemy simply by smiling. So in the battlefield, Arjuna was shooting the arrows. There also this beautiful verse comes. Sorry, verse ka link, we have went little far. But this also is very nice verse. So it comes in first canto only. Tathaiva chanye naraloka vira ya ahave something that it says Yah ahave Krishna mukhara vindam netre pibanti nayana biramam parthastra param apanoti something. So it says that Arjuna was going around killing enemies, but before Arjuna is shooting, they were shot by what? The beauty of Krishna. Yah ahave Krishna mukhara vindam. When they are seeing Krishna mukhara vindam, they are getting devastated. Means in a positive way. And netre pibanti nayanabhi ramam. They were drinking Krishna. Now this is like something really unique. We can see a photo, we can see someone, but how can it be compared to drinking? So Krishna's darshan is like nectar. So devotees, they drink Krishna through their eyes. Netre pibanti nayanabhi ramam. So it is great pleasure to see Krishna, and they were drinking in Krishna, and in the meantime what happens? Parthastra puta thad. Partha is shooting arrows, and then they are getting purified. Puta means purified. Partha is sending astra, and that is purifying them. Parthastra puta. And they were getting liberated to the highest abode. Paramavayam tat. They were getting the highest liberation. So just by seeing the face of Krishna. So that is the beauty of Krishna. And here the verse is Yasyananam makara kundala charu karna bhrajat kapol subhagam sa vilasa asam. So his hasa, his smile is so beautiful. Nityotsavam. The sight of Krishna is festival for the eyes. Nitya utsav. Constant festival. It's not that it will end. The more you see Krishna, the more festive you will feel. Nitya utsavam na titripi. There is no satisfaction. This is a positive dissatisfaction. Material dissatisfaction, it makes us agitated. So like the great Vaishnava acharyas, they compare this. The pleasures of this world is like, a water drop in a desert. If you get to drink one drop of water in the desert, then that will satisfy you? No, rather it will make you more agitated. So, but then this is negative dissatisfaction. But seeing Krishna is so nice, it is Nitya Utsav, that it will not be sufficient. How much ever you look Krishna, it will be insufficient. And that dissatisfaction will make you look to Krishna more and more. And the more you look to Krishna, you will feel more satisfied. So, the dissatisfaction leads to more satisfaction, and that satisfaction leads to more dissatisfaction, and it is a loop. And it completely satisfies the soul. And what happens to Brajavasis? Nitya Utsavam na tatripi drishabhi pibantya. They are also drishabhi pibantya. They are also drinking by their eyes. Seeing Krishna is always compared in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to be like drinking nectar through the eyes. Drishabhi pibantya. Naryo narascha mudita kupita nimescha. All the residents of Vrindavan, they were becoming very happy upon seeing Krishna, mudita. And at the same time, they were getting dissatisfied also, highly dissatisfied. Mudita animescha. So, when would they become dissatisfied? When the eyelids would close for a fraction of second. That is called nimesha. So, that time when their darshan would be interrupted, that was their cause of dissatisfaction. They would give lot of curses to Brahma. What type of creator is this? He does not, what is the use of this blinking, We are getting interrupted in our darshan of Krishna. So, why did he create these eyelids for us? So then, that is their absorption. So, Krishna's beauty is so great that it enthralls, it completely makes one captivated. So, here in this shloka, when Krishna is walking down the Mathura street, Tad darshana smarak shobhat. So everyone who is looking upon Krishna, they are being pierced by the arrows of Kamdev. They are getting supremely captivated by Krishna, Krishna's beauty. And then what is happening? Smarak shobhat atmanam na vidam striyaha. All the ladies who were looking to Krishna, all the Mathura ladies who were watching Krishna, they were forgetting themselves. Who are they? They are daughter of someone, they are wife of someone, they are, mother of someone. Everything they are forgetting themselves. Who are they? And they are, just stunned. Atmanam na vidam striya visrasra vasa kavara valaya lekhaya murtaya. So, lekhaya murtaya means a painting. So, they were getting stunned and still like a statue. In childhood, we had played like this statue. So, this is artificial statue, but that was real statue. So much so that it is compared to be like painting. They were so motionless in the absorption of seeing Krishna that they were valaya lekhaya murtaya. They were becoming still as statue. That is the power of Krishna's beauty. So, that Krishna is being seen by Pariksit Maharaj. That beautiful form. Here the Lord was having 4 hands for the sake of his devotee to protect him from Brahmastra. But the form, the beauty of the Lord captivated his mind like anything. And when he was outside, he was searching out, who was that person who saved me when I was in the womb of my mother? And that's why his name became Pariksit. So Pariksit Maharaj became a great person. He was a rajarsi and he ruled the kingdom very nicely. And then we saw that how in this coming chapters we will see that how he got this was an arrangement of the Lord, that he got the curse from a Brahmana and he was destined to die in 7 days. But he took it as, even though he was very powerful, he could have counteracted the curse, but he chose to accept the curse, thinking it to be Lord's plan. And then he utilized every moment of his life for serving Krishna, for hearing about Krishna. So he was taking it as a great opportunity. As a king, he would be so much busy in management. But then here he took the opportunity to hear about Krishna. So in the course of the narration of birth of Pariksit Maharaj, when Sukadeva Goswami narrated that Pariksit Maharaj was born and he was as good as his forefathers, the grandfathers, Pandavas, and his great grandfather Pandu. So he was accomplished in everything, and he was trained in very nicely by the Pandavas, and then given the charge. So then the Vidura comes home, the war is over, and Yudhishthira Maharaj is handling the kingdom, and Pariksit Maharaj is newly born, and Vidura, he comes back. He was not participating, he was not there in the scene till now. The entire war happened and he was doing pilgrimage for not being part of the war. Now he got compassionate. He wanted to deliver Dhritarashtra. So he comes back. As we saw, Dayaya Sarva Bhuteshu, Vaishnava cannot see people suffering. So when Vidura saw that Dhritarashtra is rotting alone, so let me help him. So he goes and gives strong instruction to him and relieve him. So this is to come in this chapter. But then as soon as he arrived, what was the situation in Hastinapur is being described in these following verses. So when one very beautiful verse comes in this chapter, just before you might have read. So what is the effect of seeing the devotee of the Lord? So Bhavat Vida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Yasyanta Sthena Gadabritaha. So when Vidura came, he was well received. Everyone was so happy. Yudhishthira Maharaj, Pandavas, all the ladies, everyone was so happy to receive Vidura, because here is a person who is genuine well-wisher of everyone. Why he is able to be genuine well-wisher of everyone? Because he is a devotee of the Lord. And what is the effect of seeing a devotee? So that is said in this verse, Bhavat Vida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Savayam Vibho. So pure devotees are walking tirthas. Just by the sight of the great devotees, one becomes purified. Why they are having that effect? Why they are having that power of purifying wherever they go? Wherever they go, they purify that place. Why do they have that power? Yasya anta sthena gadabrita. In their heart, they keep Krishna always. So the Lord is carrying the club and that gadabrita. So they are keeping that Lord in the heart. So they are becoming so pure, and they have that purifying effect that wherever they go, they purify the place and the heart. So that's why these people are happy, that now we have the association of such great soul. So let us come and hear from him. And they are eager to hear. Please tell us, you are coming from Dwarka, please tell us about Krishna. Please tell us about how are the residents of Dwarka, what are they doing. So this is the symptom of advanced devotee. So the more we make advancement, what is the happiness we are looking after? We can see ourselves. So if we are looking for some basic happiness in terms of eating, sleeping, then we are yet to progress more. Lord Krishna says that mat chitta matagata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So the characteristic of my devotee is mat chitta matagata prana. My devotees, they always think of me and they want to think of me. So they will place themselves in that situation which will be conducive for their thinking of Krishna. So whom they will associate with? The devotees. Mat chitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam. And what they do Krishna katha, bodhayanta, they enlighten on one another. So devotees friendship is not superficial friendship. कि हाँ प्रभु क्या चल रहा है, हाँ अरे बोल, Yeah, that can be, but our friendship is at a deeper level. We are their friends in regards to the soul, in regards to Krishna. So we want to help everyone to become dear to Krishna. So bodhayanta parasparam, we enlighten one another. Devotees, they enlighten one another. And kathayantascha mam nityam. What is, they do katha about the Lord. So many learnings from that katha, so many, when we hear about the Lord, then we develop absorption. We can think of the Lord. Only when we have heard. Without hearing, we can't think of the Lord. Khade reh jao, when we stand in front of the Lord, how long you can stand? How long we can see? But when we have heard sufficiently, and then when we see the lotus feet of the Lord, and remember, these are the lotus feet which, Uddhava says, Kamva dayalum sharanam vrajema. What is the other shelter than this lotus feet which I should take? Here is the ultra merciful Lord, who delivered Putana even, who had come to cheat Krishna and kill Krishna in the guise of mother. So, who is more merciful person? Show me. Other than Krishna, who is that merciful person? So, when we see, then, when we have heard sufficiently, and then when we see the darshan of the Lord, that is real darshan. So, this Shastra is also called as darshan. Darshan. Darshan means philosophy. So, without this darshan, our eye darshan, netra darshan will be incomplete. Because what we can see is matter. We can't see the spirit, right? So when we gain the spirit by hearing, then when we see the Lord, then we can see the form of the Lord as spiritual. Then that this form appears to be transcendental. And when we have that vision, the Lord also reciprocates. Ye yathamam prapadyante. As we approach the Lord reciprocates in that amount. So here, the Hastinapur Vasis, they want to hear about Krishna and Dwarka, and Vidura has come from there. So they are very eager to hear about Dwarka and news of Krishna. And Vidura is also understanding their heart and narrating everything about Dwarka, except one thing. Except the sad news, bad news of the destruction of Yadu dynasty. So because he knows that this news will break the heart of the Pandavas like anything. And it happened so. When Yudhishthira Maharaj got to know that Krishna has completed his Leela on this earth and has went back, immediately he stepped out of the throne, made Pariksit into the king and walked off. And every Pandava walked off after Yudhishthira. And Draupadi, Kunti, everyone left. This is their love for Krishna. So, Vidura knew that what is going to come, unhappiness which is going to come, will come. We need not have to make ground for it. We need not have to do any special arrangement for it. It will come on its own accord. So why to unnecessarily disturb the living entity? And Bhagavatam principle is that, na? Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido na labhyate yad brahmatam upari yadaha tallabhyate dukkhavad anyata sukam kale na sarvatra gabhira ramhasa. So Bhagavatam principle is very clear. Don't waste your time for happiness in this world, because it will come automatically. How it will come automatically? This will be very alarming to an ordinary person. Without endeavoring, how can happiness come automatically? So the reason is given, yatha dukkhavad anyatha sukham. Do we try for misery? Do we try for unhappiness? No, nobody tries for unhappiness. But do we become unhappy? Misery comes or not? Comes, right? without we doing anything for misery, misery comes and gives us, pain. So that means our quota of happiness and unhappiness is fixed. The amount of unhappiness which we are due will come to us without our trying for it. Similarly, happiness also will come. We do not have to do something extra for it. Does that mean we don't do anything? तकिया डाल के सो जाएंगे बढ़िया? No. That will be going against us. If we don't do our duty based on our, swabhava, whatever duty we have, if we don't do that, then that will be sinful. That will be coming to us in the future life. So we must do our duty as per our guna, dharma and karma. So, but then we should understand this fact, that I may do things in my life, but the result will come as per the karma. So need not be too much bothered by happiness or distress in this life. It will come and go. My basic focus should be attaining the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. So with this we will end. Granthra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Madhav ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Badev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Hare Krishna. We are over time. So in case you have any question, you can personally ask. Hare Krishna.